Hey friends, the pile of parts that need to go on the old Model A is starting to dwindle down. Today I want to get working on my fuel system. Let's get started. You guys ever not make progress on your hot rod because you just kind of been putting off something, whether you don't know how to do it or you're just not excited about it or something? I think that's where I am with my fuel system. I've got the hardware together that I need to put the brackets in. That's my fuel tank up there. I can mount it in there, but I got to figure out hoses and that kind of stuff. There's enough detail to keep me busy, but I'm just being honest. I'm not that pumped about doing it. So this is going to be kind of boring, but you go back several videos. I'll put a little link on there where we built this bracket to mount the gas tank. I'm going to go lay under the car and crawl into the back. Come in and tie that in back here in the back of the car. Hopefully for the last time. And once I get that thing situated, I'll come back and we'll see where we are from there. Okay. Can't tell I'm sweating a little bit. This actually turned out to be a little more work than I thought. But I got my bracket mounted in there. It's all black on black, you can't see. But it's mounted in there. I set my tank in there and put my tie down strap on top of it, and you can see how my battery's gonna sit. And just remember, this is gonna be covered right here with a board. That's where we're at. Now all I gotta do is actually drill that hole down through there where my, see if I can get in there where you can see it, where the top strap comes down. I need to drill those holes on both sides, but I'll do that real quick. I got to figure out my battery mount too. It's probably just going to punch a couple holes, run some 3/8 all thread up through the sides, and a strap across the top for that battery, which I've yet to buy, and it'll sit right there. Okay, so in and amongst the mess here on my bench, I want to show you guys what I'm planning on using for my fuel filler cap. This is cool. I'm not sure where I picked it up. It's kind of the old boat style. Hard to operate one-handed. There you go, vented gas cap. I really like the looks of that, and I think it'll look cool in the car. Let's go back here and I'll show you how I plan on doing it. Whoop, watch out. Stay there. Okay, what I don't want to do is chop up the body on this car. I've thought about different places where the fuel cap could come out. Here, and man, it's hard. Here's what else I had trouble with. I had trouble finding the right kind of connection where I could make a hose go into this gas tank filler. So, you guys might think I'm crazy, but here's what I'm going to do. I ordered this thing online, different filler hose. I'm gonna have one filler, but I'm just gonna chop another hole in this gas tank. I'm just gonna knock a hole in it, about right there, and put that one on. I've got the gasket and everything, and I'm just gonna mount it right there. And I'm gonna screw this cap down tight. No one will ever know, and that's the way that is. And what that does for me is that'll have my gas cap filler come out, I'll square it about right there in the corner, and it'll go right through this patch that I already had chopped up and put on the car. I don't know how much of that I'm going to get done today, but that's my plan. Tell me if you think I'm crazy for doing that. Alright, well, I got my holes all drilled. Both sides for my bracket to tie down my fuel tank, as well as holes where my battery will mount. What I'll do is I'm just going to come up through the bottom with some all thread, and I've done this on my Nova. I just punched through the side of that box near the top. One set, 3/8 all thread, strap across the top of the battery, suck that thing down. Good. Cables will drop down. Figuring out where my fuel lines are going to run is going to be kind of a nightmare. But I'll figure that out. I'm not motivated. I don't want to mess with that right now. Check out the next little problem I want to try to solve. When I had this thing rolled out and was looking at the profile pictures, I noticed that this support bar angled up just because of where it mounted here, and it mounts up on the radiator there. And I don't like it. You can kind of, I don't know if you can tell there now. When I put it on this time, I flipped it over and put this upside down, so it's kind of try to make it level. But it's kind of a pain, and I don't like how close it is to my carburetor linkage here. So what I could do is try to move this, but there won't be room for it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this thing off. I'm going to cut it right here, and I'm going to lift it up, or I'm going to do it about right here. So it screws into the stock location, but it lifts up and actually runs almost under the lip here. And that should help change the rake of it. So I'm going to do that. I got myself a little piece of strap. This little guy right here is scrap metal. Fairly thick. That it'll go about like that, if you can imagine. I need to do that so that I can feel productive and actually accomplish something. Let me knock that out real quick. Alright, check it out. It looks a little hokey now, but trust me, this is going to work. See how I modified that? I just raised it up on both sides. And it gave me the clearance I need right here on my carburetors. Honestly, there we go. Yeah, that's how it's going to go. And honestly, I couldn't even take my carburetors on and off with that there because it got in the way over the carb studs. So that'll be really good. Now I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to finish weld that, attack it with my flap wheel, and make it look prettier. Paint it black. No one will ever notice. No one will ever notice. Okay, wrapping it up for the night. Here's what we ended up with. I just got to put a little black paint on there. I think that looks pretty good, and I do like the way it clears my linkage better, and hopefully has a better, I'm calling it a night, kind of beat. Alright guys, we're back, and I'm doing a lot better today. I'm pretty pumped about this project now. I left off last time. I don't know if I just didn't know where to go with things or what, but I'm back. I'm ready to do this, ready to dig into this car. I hope you are too. First things first here, I did a couple of changes while we were off. I put the velocity stacks on my air filters. I mean, there you go. They look cool. I like them. I kept putting rags over the carburetor to cover it up. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put those on. It looks cool, boosts my morale, makes the car look good, and empties a little bit of space out of the old parts bin. Let's look at what else I got going with the car. Okay, I've got my fuel system where we left off there, holes drilled, ready to go in. I need to pull it back out because I need to make some modifications to the tank, and I'm ready to drop my battery in there. I dropped a few bucks on a battery yesterday too. I went to town, put on my going to town shirt, and went in and visited about 4 different stores to get some fittings, car battery, fuel line, that kind of stuff. I digress. Time to dig in. I am going to work on my fuel system on the car. Here's what I need to do. My carburetors are mounted, but what I've got to do is come in and I've got a Y block that I need to build a mount for my Y block. Where is it? It's over here. You can tell by the mess that I've been busy working on stuff. Here's my Y block. Okay, before you guys start laughing at how much fitting, adapting, and Teflon tape using I did, I just want you to look at something here. This little guy down here at the bottom, you can go into O'Reilly Auto Parts and get an aluminum fitting. It's actually made by Edelbrock, 3/8 pipe to 3/8 barb. It only costs $27, and I'm not going to spend 27 bucks on a 90-degree fitting when I have this for free. Okay, so I'm going to come in here now and I'm going to mount this right there. If I had an air hook, that's where it would hang and it'd be good to go. But what I do need to do instead is build something off of here. So I think I'm going to tie these two studs on the carburetor together. Here we go. I'm going to put a bar in between those two, and it's not exactly level, but we'll make it work. We'll mount it up, and I'll come off of it with something in a tab. So it'll ride about like there. So that way I just come up off the firewall, tie in with my fuel line, and then I'll have a hose that goes there and a hose that plugs into that carb there. Okay, so here's what I got. I dug through all my scrap metal, and it seems like no matter what I came up with was going to be pretty good overkill. I have a tendency to over-engineer this stuff, so I'm going to try to keep it simple. But I think I'm going to come off of here using a little piece of angle iron. Trim it to fit right in there. To go on those two studs. Drill holes, trim it, put it in there. Once it sits in there, I'll come off of it with some of this 1-inch square tube. And it'll come out. Maybe I can even angle it down if I have to. But I'll come out with that. And then off of this piece, I'll just use a piece of this strap. Weld it on like that. And then I got to make it look pretty. Anyway, but that'll get myself out away from the carburetor, away from the linkage, and my fuel block will sit about right here. Okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, a little change of thought here. See, I drilled out this piece of little angle iron. I think that'll look good once I cut it off and clean it all up and everything. But I think I'm just going to use some strap and come off of here. About like that. With that sitting there, I can still get my valve cover off, my fuel lines up, away from heat, out of the way. Kind of looks ugly, but super functional. It's unique. And I get to show off my welding skills. Okay, so we're ready to start welding, but before I begin that, I want to take a moment and get into my 2-car garage, 1-man tech tip of the day. And here's what it is. It's my welding table. Talk about a space saver. This guy might look familiar to some of you folks, the bottom half anyway, as one of those little tables where you can, turn the wheels and adjust 2 pieces of wood that come together kind of as a clamp for woodworking. It never fails. The wood on those rods goes away, falls apart, the thing breaks, you want to throw it away. Well, that's when I took it, built this frame for it. Actually, my dad had some scrap metal laying around. Thanks, Dad. But built this frame, it's about 20 by 30, and just welded it right to the top of it. It still folds up, I can park it in the corner. But man, this thing is an incredible space saver and really handy for the old 1-man shop in a 2-car garage. All right, there you go. Okay, that's it. Well, that thing sits there and cools for a while. I'm gonna go find some fasteners so that I can tie my little fuel distribution block onto that. And then I'll put some black paint on it and we'll tie that thing in. My intent here is to come in and put all the components on my fuel system in. So I'm gonna mount my fuel distribution block up front by the engine. I'm hoping my fuel pump comes in today, because then I'll come in under the frame on the rail and I'll mount my electric fuel pump. And then my filter will go right after that. And then I'll be able to come in and just start running my line and connect it all. So I'm going to clean things up a little bit. I'll probably go ahead and clean off my workbench so I have some space to operate on when I go to putting fuel line together. And then we'll come back when we got this project a little further. Okay, while the paint's drying on my fuel distribution block bracket, let me show you guys what I did for my battery mount. Okay, I just went down to the hardware store. That's about the best deal I could find on a good battery. Like 70 bucks for a battery, brand new. We'll see how long it lasts. But it fits in this battery box well, and here's how I'm gonna mount it. I spent a little time yesterday and made this real fancy bracket right here, which involved drilling 2 holes and hitting it with a grinder. And then I customized my battery box. Like you can see here, all I did was took my drill bit, drilled a hole, laid it down, kept drilling, and made the hole where this thing can shoot straight down. Now I think while I got a couple minutes, I'm going to set the battery in, get my height all lined up, and then come down here and nip off the extra so that I can come in and I'll put a nut on there and weld it on so I can feed these up through the bottom. Actually, I think one's going to feed up through the bottom, one down through the top, just based on how much space I have in there. But that'll tie it right down to that bracket I have in the back of the car, and we'll be done with the battery. Okay, still waiting for paint to dry, so let's show you how I got my battery set up. You can go a few episodes back. I'll put a little card up at the top for you to click on to see how I built this substructure back here that my fuel tank and my battery will bolt to. And it's pretty simple. All I'm going to do is take my battery here, throw it in that hole right there, line up my bracket here on the top, shove my all thread up through the bottom. Like I said, just the way the curvature of the car is, I'm probably going to have to drop actually this one down from the top, that one come up from the bottom. Put some nuts on there, call that good. And then I can start measuring for battery cables and whatnot. But yeah, let's get this done. Okay, let's check out some progress. First, the battery. Yeah, as I suspected, this all thread wouldn't fit through because of the curvature of the car. I can't shove it up through the bottom. So that side I dropped it down through the top, and then I tack welded it to my bracket, just because I hate when you have to have 2 people do a simple task like take the battery out. And I didn't want to have somebody come up here and hold it on the top while I undid a nut on the bottom. So that's welded in there. So on the bottom, all I got to do is screw the nut on, tighten her down. This one, washer on the bottom, and the nut welded onto the all thread. So it's fed up through there. I'll just put a nut on the top of it. For all you environmentally friendly guys, I use some of this stuff along the bottom of that thing so it's not just metal rubbing on the battery. And I'm going to use some of this in here where my gas tank mounts and so on. Okay, let's check out how we did on the front of the car with the fuel distribution block bracket. Now I'm not going to lie, I had pretty low expectation of how this was going to turn out. You guys check it out, you be the judge. First I'll look at it from like way back here. Huh? Can't even tell. That's the trick, paint it black, don't notice it. If I'd have painted it black a little better right there, you might even be able to notice it even less. Anyway, there you have it. That's how it is. It's solid. It's real solid. Welds good enough that I didn't have to grind them. Now I just got to come in here with some fuel line, start connecting there, and then my hard line will come down. Run through a fuel pump to the back. I think I heard a delivery van a little bit ago, so I'm hoping that is my fuel pump. Otherwise, I've got to go back to work. Believe it or not, that was my lunch break, and actually I have a day job. So, and this is not it, as much as I wish it was. So I got to go back on online for a bit, working from home, and then we'll be back later on today to wrap this up. Thanks. Back at it this afternoon, and it's an exciting day because it's package day, and I got a fuel pump, I got some radiator hoses, and some fuel line. Let's check it out a little bit here. The fuel pump, here's what I went with. Where's the number? The Carter P4594. It pumps at 11 million gallons an hour or something. I don't know. It's good enough for this car. It's supposed to be self-regulating, 7 psi. I do have a regulator that I can plug into the system if required, but this one should be able to just hook up. I like Carter pumps. I've used them before because they're kind of no frills, but they work well, last a long time. Not too noisy compared to some other pumps named Holly, and I've learned fuel pumps are what you get what you pay for. Let's go mount it on the car. Okay, so I've been laying under this car in various positions for about the last 30 minutes trying to find the best place to mount my fuel pump. I thought I had it figured out to mount right on the frame rail. Turn around here. Under about midway there. But what I realize is it gets in the way of my seat bolts and my cable for my emergency brake. It's kind of all in the way. So I got to look in here in the back of the car. I moved the fuel tank off of its little bracket here where it normally would sit. And I thought, look, so this is dead space right down here in this part of the car. That's where I want my fuel pump to ride. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to go about right here. Now, yeah, about right there is just about right. I got room for my filter, my pump, my line to come off it, go to the front, and that'll work great. Problem is, in order now to drill these holes to mount it, I can't get a drill in there. I don't have a 90-degree drill, and I'm not taking this whole thing back out just to drill those holes. So I'm going to make this a permanent part of the car, and I'm going to weld it. So I'm going to go trim that bracket down, clean this up, zap it in there, and then we'll be back when I have a fuel pump mounted. Okay, typical move. Right, I wanted to kind of halfway cheat on this one to get it done quick, so I welded it. And I made my first weld and ran out of wire. So I got to pull the wire out, and luckily I had another spool. So thankfully I had another spool of wire. I threw it on there, finished welding it up, and that's what we ended up with. I fogged it with some paint. Fogged it with paint. I think that's what you say when I'm just admitting I don't want to do a good paint job, but I just want to spray some paint on there so you can't see my welds. So there you go. I fogged it with some paint, tagged my fuel pump on there. I realized it's tied in to this structure, which is tied into the body. Anyway, there's not going to be any passengers sleeping on this thing. That's going to be loud. And then I go ahead and look at my exhaust and realize doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't want to do the next step on this thing because this is what it involves. I don't like cutting holes in this metal, but I got to do it. I got to put my fuel filler neck in. So it's going to go here, but I got to do that first so that I can measure my everything and I can knock the other hole out on the tank and button all that up, and then I can mount the tank permanently. And then it'll be a piece of cake, then just connect with my lines. But I'm going to come in here and mark off exactly where this needs to go. Just bite the bullet, drill a hole in this old car, and then we'll be back, hopefully with a smile on my face. If I want my fuel filler door to go right there, then I'm going to have to cut that hole in it. So the way I did is I took my gasket to the fuel filler door and just matched it up on there where it needs to go. Marked the hole, found center, gave it a little center punch. Here goes. I really feel like If I'm going to chop a hole in this car though, might as well have all you guys along. Here goes nothing. Well, we did it. We punched a hole in the car and it worked. Now that I've got that in there, now I can mock up this, which is my filler neck for the gas tank. And yeah, if you missed my other episode, yeah, I'm gonna have 2 filler necks on the tank. But the fact is, that one will just stay screwed down tight and never get opened. And that's the one that'll work. The reason is I couldn't find the parts to adapt that to something like that and make it happen. I'd have to get a big old long hose and come up here somewhere well above the belt line on the car. And I didn't want to come in up here. I wanted to come in down here. I wanted to keep everything right here below that. So I'm going to finish mocking that up, mark that, pull the tank out, flip it over upside down and drill it upside down. You know, while we're punching holes, might as well start punching them in the gas tank too. Well, I drilled another hole. This one in the gas tank here. I did my best to try to keep stuff from falling down in there, but even as I look in there, there's junk down there that didn't come from this. Yeah, anyway, I got it all over me because I tied it to my workbench upside down and drilled it up that way, and I put grease all over my hole saw and everything so that the chips wouldn't fly all over the inside. Instead, I smell like grease everywhere on me. Let me show you guys a couple more things here before I wrap it up. This right here is going to be the trick. I know that this little guy is pretty short, and when it sits in the car like that, I mean, it should work, but this is what's going to make all the difference in the world. This thing is like 25 bucks, and I hope it's worth it. It's this little flapper valve, one-way check valve essentially for my gas tank hose. And the way this works is it just slides right down on this hose, like so. And then when it fills up with gas, gas goes in, gas doesn't come out. Crazy concept. All right, let's call this a night. Let's wrap it up. What did we get done today? Well, I don't even remember what I got done from when I started this video, but I got a fuel system mostly built. I got a battery that's completely mounted. I got a lot of parts on order, so stuff starts showing up. I'm gonna start throwing it on the car. Come back next time, watch me finish off this fuel system. We'll get this thing closer to running. Hey, after the fuel system, electrical system. That'll be a good one. All right, you don't want to miss it, so hit subscribe. Tell a friend about it. Before I forget, shout out to, I'll put a link up here somewhere, DD Speed Shop. You want to follow that guy. He's giving away a 57 Chevy. All you got to do is subscribe to a channel, put a comment on there, let him know you did it. When he hits, I think 57,000 subscribers, he's going to give it away. So it might be you, might be me, who knows. Anyway, go check out his channel, subscribe to it, subscribe to mine, and come back and follow next time. See ya.